oh, 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 ah, kicking on that old school shit. Yeah, that's that old school shit. Yeah. Yo, 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 welcome to the Juiced Up Show. I'm your host, Jake Juiced Up Accardo. This is episode 19 of the Juiced Up Show. We got a great one on the docket for you today. First one on the agenda is going to be the Super Bowl breakdown. Then we'll go over the Bad Bunny performance. NFL announcing that they're going to be going to Australia next season with the Niners and Rams. So we'll talk about that. And then I'm going to do a little season 2 of The Pit. It's been the first 5 episodes, so I'm going to do a little recap of that. We'll talk about the episodes, some of the characters they've added, and some of the development of the characters from last season. And then at the end of the show, it's the Juiced Up Takes. All right, so Super Bowl. Super Bowl was this past Sunday. Game wasn't the greatest. I think everyone can agree on that. Pretty boring game. It was obviously what I predicted it was going to be. If you watched the previous episode, I thought the Seahawks would dominate on defense, maybe struggle a little bit on offense. I had said maybe Kenneth Walker could be a sleeper MVP. That did happen. I thought I could have went to the kicker possibly too. I mean, he made the majority of the points for him, but that's a story for another day. And overall, it's like what majority of people and myself are saying for the most part of the season. Patriots played a soft schedule, played a soft playoff schedule, and it came out when they came to the Super Bowl. Drake May was a deer in the headlights. He didn't know what to do against that defense. Vrabel was coach of the year. He got out coached. Josh McDaniels got out X'd and O'd from Coach McDonald. And they just couldn't figure out really how to get a grasp of the game offensively. The defense did keep them in the game, which I thought was going to be the factor, and they just couldn't also get a running game going either. So when you can't get a passing game and you can't get a running game and you can't block, you're going to look like the Chargers out there, and that's what happened to Drake May. So it was kind of what I predicted. I missed on my 3-teamer. I needed that last touchdown by Walker. That would have put me on the over and gave me his touchdown, but unfortunately, shit don't fall that way sometimes, and they had the holding call, which was a heartbreaker, but it was only a $20 bet, so not the end of the world. But overall, the game wasn't that great. I'm glad the Seahawks won. It's kind of what I predicted. We'll see how the Patriots do next year with their schedule. They got to go against the AFC North, all the division winners, and then also play the Bills twice. So I don't see the Patriots getting 14 wins next season. They'll be lucky to crack 10 wins, and that's you can book that. You can hold me to that. But I don't see the Patriots getting more than 10 wins next season. All right, jumping into the halftime show, Bad Bunny. I thought the visuals were really good. If I obviously from what you can see and the vibe that you felt, the message was really good. I obviously do not know Spanish. I couldn't understand a lick of what the guy was saying, but I like the vibe. I like a lot of the props were symbolic of certain things. So unless you are in tune with like Puerto Rican culture or Latin culture, you wouldn't really understand some of these things. Like I guess him climbing up on the electrical poles is because when Puerto Rico has bad hurricanes, they basically like the whole country's power is just done, and so they don't have any power. So that was kind of like a symbolic thing of Puerto Rico, him climbing on top of the electrical pole, having an actual wedding during your Super Bowl halftime performance. Like that's like the wedding of my dream. That would be the wedding of like any guy that loves football. That would be the wedding of your dreams, to get married at halftime in front of like 100+ million people. Everybody's watching, and it's like that would be the best celebration ever. And I guess from what I read, this couple had messaged Bad Bunny and asked him to show up to their wedding, and he was like, nah, man, how about you guys come to Super Bowl and we'll do your wedding there. So obviously I'm not a big follower of Bad Bunny, but the guy sounds like he's really in tune to his culture. He's in tune to society. He sounds like he's a positive type of message for people. I've never really listened to his music, but it seemed like he was just bringing love to a country full of hate and division right now. And that's what he received after his performance. And that's obviously what's going to happen when people are bitter and don't want to see you thriving, or they don't want to see society thriving and showing positivity and preaching positive attitudes. That's when these guys, the pressure even gets them to even more, and they start buckling because they want us to be negative. They want us to hate each other. They want us to spew hate and in vigorous words, and just be totally obnoxious. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to be a good society. We want to be humans. We want to be caring humans, and that's what we should be, and that's what should be preached across the board. And unfortunately, it's not right now. I don't do politics on this show, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I thought overall it was a great performance. I thought Bad Bunny put on a great show. If I was back in my 20s in PB Bar and Grill, I would have been doing the damn thing to some Bad Bunny, that's for sure. So I thought it was a great show overall. I thought the game wasn't that great, but the Seahawks won. We got the chip here in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm happy for all my friends that are Seahawks fans, and I hope I get to experience a Super Bowl, at some point in my life that I'll actually remember and get to enjoy. All right, next topic. So on the Pat McAfee show, they had the Crocodile Hunter's son was on there. Hey, mate. The Crocodile Hunter's son was on there, and he announced that the NFL will be having their first game in Australia next season between the Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. So the NFL is obviously expanding now across the globe again. We got Brazil, we got Mexico City, we got Germany, we got Spain, we got the UK, and now we got Australia. And so I'm sorry if I missed any countries in there also, but the NFL is definitely expanding. They're expanding their global brand. They're expanding their reach to everywhere in the world. And the fact that you got a lot of these punters that are Australians and, coming from the Aussie country, and a lot of these kickers in college are coming from Australia. So Australians got a good little following of NFL fans and NFL population. I think they run like kicking camps out there for punters, so punters can make it to the league. So I feel like this is a great move for the league. Is it a great move for the players and the coaches that got to fly that freaking far for a game? I mean, obviously you're going to need a bye week. So I think it's like an 18-hour time difference. And then if you play your game in September there, I don't know if that's considered like their springtime. So who knows what the weather is going to be like, because they're opposite seasons of our country. So when it's winter here, it's summer over there. And then obviously their spring must be like our fall. So hopefully when the game is played, it's not too hot out there. And hopefully, that we put on a great show, and we'll see how it goes. I would love to I've always wanted to go to Australia, so I'd love to go to a game in Australia. That would be like a great thing to do. And we'll see how it turns out. But what it really comes down to is the NFL is putting like travel wear and tear on these guys. It's affecting recovery time. You got to get your body clock adjusted to all these different time zones. So it's not like you're going to play a game. I don't see how you can play a game Sunday and then turn around and fly to Australia on a Tuesday and then think your body clock's going to be ready on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like when you're talking about that big of a time difference, that much traveling. So we'll see how it affects the players. It's one thing to go from the East Coast to like London, which is probably like a 7-hour flight or so. Oh, I think they had a game in Ireland. That was the other country. So maybe I missed Ireland. I was just randomly thinking of that right now. My bad. But when you're on the East Coast and you're flying to like London or something, it's probably like only like a 5 or 6 hour flight. So that's like flying from the West Coast to the East Coast. So it's kind of the same time frame and essentially in that aspect. But now when you're going to these countries like Australia, you're messing with a whole different ball game. Like you're going to have to, I would figure you're going to have a bye week after that game. So hopefully if the 49ers and Rams do end up having to have their bye week after the Australian game, hopefully the league doesn't put it like game 8 and then these fools have a bye week 9, and they have like the rest of the season. I mean, theoretically it might not be the worst thing. It's at the halfway point. And, my buddy and I used to always talk about that. Maybe the league should just do a bye week for everybody at the same time. So no one has more time off than somebody else, and no one has a later bye week than somebody else. Like you just did week 9, everyone has a bye week. I don't know why that couldn't work. 1 week of NFL is not going to kill people. It actually might make more hunger and more excitement for the next, for the second half of the season. But I don't know if the NFL will never do that because they don't want to take a week off. So that's that. All right, next topic. We're going to talk about the show The Pitt on HBO Max. Great show. If you're into like medical dramas, it's on HBO Max. Like I was saying, this is the 2nd season of The Pitt. It's called The Pitt. It does take place in Pittsburgh, but it's not called The Pitt because of that. It's called The Pitt because it takes place in the ED, emergency department, in this hospital in Pittsburgh, a fictional hospital. And just kind of some of the trials and tribulations that emergency department doctors, nurses, medical assistants, nurse practitioners, surgeons, what they all have to go through on their 12-hour shift. So the way they broke down last season was each episode was like the next hour. So they start at like hour 6 for episode 1, and then episode 2 is 7, 3 is 8, yada, yada, yada. So they kind of break it down each hour of the shift, and like different things are going on. It's a wild show. Like some of the stuff they show is pretty gruesome. I can't stomach, even though I know it's fake. It's like seeing someone just like bend a dude's bone back in place and just hearing the it's like just like I can't. It's great for the show, but I just can't take it. So it's pretty wild. We're gonna break down some of the characters really quick here. We have Dr. Michael Robinovich. He's your attending physician, so he's like the lead doctor of the whole emergency department on his day shift. And then everyone's coming to him with their issues, and he's signing off on it. He's giving his expertise on what he thinks he should do, and so he's going on a 3-month sabbatical. So now they've added Dr. Baron Al-Hashimi. She's a physician. She's more, so Dr. Robbie style is more kind of like on the old school side where this might not be like, again, this might not be what HIPAA wants you to do. HIPAA is like what overlooks hospitals and regulations and stuff. So like he might go against regulations and do some old school stuff, even and it will work. And she's more of on the we got to stay up to code and regulations, and she's more on the tech savvy side now. So she's promoting these different technical ways to kind of run the ED a little more efficiently and a little bit better. But Dr. Bobby, he likes it his way, hands-on, no technology. So because she's trying to get it to where they're doing like a diagcom of like when they have like patients come in so they could just record it, through their voice instead of having to dictate it later on in their system. So she's kind of more on the techie side, the more advanced technology side of like running an ED. And he's more old school where, we can talk, we can figure it out, and doing things that are maybe a little against, conservative medical practices, I guess you could say. So that's Dr. Robbie. He's the resident. And then, like I was saying, Dr. Al-Hashimi is the attending physician. She's going to cover his sabbatical. So she's essentially shadowing him, everything he does. And they're kind of like, he's not really liking that vibe. He doesn't want to be followed. He doesn't want to be watched. He just wants to do his job and don't get in the way type of thing. So they're kind of figuring out a good, through these first 5 episodes, they're trying to figure out a balance of each other and how to work, what works best for them to work together. So that's been an interesting dynamic. We also have Frank Langdon. So Dr. Langdon, on the first season, it comes to find out he was stealing benzos from the patients, basically getting a prescription and then taking pills out of this prescription. So it came to find out he was addicted to benzos. Dr. Robbie had got a tip from Dr. Santos, who's a second-year resident. So she came in hot last season, very cocky, very arrogant, giving people, messed up nicknames. And she was catching on to Dr. Langdon, possibly, hoarding pills and being a pill addict. So she let Dr. Bobby know. So Dr. Langdon is back now in the second season, coming from rehab. So he's entering back into the emergency department off of rehab. Dr. Bobby is not liking the vibe. He doesn't like the fact that he's there. He tried to stick him in a different area of the ED called triage, which is very low issues for patients, not super urgent. We're talking like a chick glued her eye shut because she was trying to use super glue to do her lashes, and she straight glued her eyes shut. So he's seeing like patients like that. So that's Dr. Langdon. And then we have Dr. Samira Mohan. She's a third-year medical resident, and she's a very compassionate doctor. She likes to give full attention to the patients, and then Dr. Bobby has to kind of keep on her to flip these beds so they can open up beds for other patients. Then we have Dana Evans, who is the day shift charge nurse, which is basically she's the head nurse. She knows kind of everything that's going on in the facility. She knows when patients are coming in from the ambulance. And she's a great character. Last season, she got knocked out. She was going to retire, but she ended up coming back. So I'm glad to see her character back. Then we have Dr. Cassie McKay. She's a redheaded doctor, single with a kid. She's kind of going through it right now. She's looking for some D. This patient was hitting on her, so she kind of dropped a pin on him, like, hey, I want to be at this spot at this time if you want to come stop by. So she's trying to get some D. She's a little worked up. She's a little wound up. And then we have Dr. Melissa Melking, who's a little, she might be on spectrum a little bit. She came from the VA. She's going through a malpractice lawsuit. So she keeps talking about right now throughout the season how she has to go do this deposition and testify to this lawsuit that she's getting sued for. And then we also have Dr. Santos. So like I mentioned, she's a very cocky doctor, but sometimes she can put her foot in her mouth and she gets a little ahead of herself. So she needs to figure out a good balance of being cocky and arrogant and confident, and then also making sure that she's not overdoing it with her treatment of patients. Dr. Dennis Whitaker is one of my favorite doctors, white guy from the country, doesn't have money, poor guys kind of coming up with the team. And then we also have Dr. Victoria Javadi, very smart girl. I think she's like the character might be Middle Eastern Indian, very smart. She's in her 20s at the ED, so she's doing really well. And then our new resident doctors that are following Dr. Whitaker is Dr. Joy Kwan. She's an Asian girl, very good memory. Not too in tune with everything going on. They kind of had her like a couple patients. She was like on her phone during the visit, so her attention span is not the greatest, but she has a great identical memory. And then we have James Ogilvy, who's the other doctor. That's the incoming resident, and he's a very smart guy and likes to show off his brain. So he's another one of these guys that's very confident in his skills and his ability, but he also can put his foot in his mouth as well. So those are kind of some of the characters going on in the show right now. And so during the first episode, Dr. Langan came back from rehab. They found a baby in the bathroom of the ED. They don't know who left it there, so they had to run some vitals on that baby. Second episode, Dr. Mel is treating a patient that's actually wanted by the cops, so they didn't know that. And he's like flirting with her, so she was kind of feeling him. The cops come in. He ends up having to run out, knocks her down, smacks the back. She smacks the back of her head on the ground because he knocked her over. And then also this homeless guy came in. So episode 2 as well, this homeless guy came in. He had a cast on his arm. He hadn't showered in like months, maybe a year. They took the cast off, fucking maggots all over his arm. Shit was so disgusting. So that was kind of episode 2. This guy came in on his anniversary. He took a couple of Viagra's. He had an 8-hour erection, couldn't get it down. So they actually showed this dude's boner, and then they had to like draw blood out of it to bring down the boner that he had. Episode 3, this college kid came in that was like wilding out. I guess he was wilding out at the college library. The school security ended up tasing the kid in the back of his neck, so they're trying to figure out what's going on with him. And then we had a family come in, which is kind of like a real life situation where they're stuck in between. They make too much for state care, but they don't make enough to get regular care because they wouldn't be able to get through their day-to-day lives. So they're going through a financial situation with medical bills because the dad is diabetic. So that was kind of like a real situation going on, like in real life time. And then episode 5. So this old lady comes in, she's constipated, and so they have to do a disimpaction on her, which is basically they have to stick their finger up her butt and start pulling poop out to relieve some of that build-up poop in the lady because she's constipated. So they have the resident student do it, Ogilvy, and so he's pulling poop out. He gets a couple scoops out of the poop. They show it, and then Whitaker goes, Ogilvy, you might want to step back. Because the lady starts farting. He goes, you might want to step back. And Ogilvy goes, what? And the lady just splatties all over this dude's chest. It's straight doo-doo. Like just, and then she's like, oh, that feels so much better. So that's kind of like the shit you'll see in this show. It's a great show. If you're into medical dramas, I'd highly recommend it. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's very popular. The Pit on HBO Max. That was the first 5 episodes we recap. And check it out. I'll be when the next 5, when we get to 10, I'll do another recap because I think they have about 15 episodes. And now, at the end of the show, it's the Juice Up Takes. All right, we got a couple good ones for you today. So I woke up, I'm on my Twitter X, is scrolling through, and I see my TMZ feed come through, and it says, Bonnie Blue, adult content creator, has sex with 400 men unprotected. 400 men unprotected. Now, this is guys are disgusting pieces of trash. You hear me? Like this chick, like what if you're number 400? What if you're number 400 or 399? It's like being the guy drafted in the 6th round, the last guy ever. You know what I mean? It's like how can you go through this as a man? Anyone after number 5? That's disgusting. That's disgusting. 400 dudes unprotected. That means if you're number 400, 399 other condomless penises, uncircumcised, looking funny as fuck, were in this woman before you. Before you. And you went ahead with it. You went ahead with it. I want to know is what's the average time of each guy? Because, guys be busting quick sometimes. So, yeah, 400 men's a lot, but if each guy's lasted about 2 minutes, this chick's going, you know what I mean? Like, if it's only 2 minutes, it ain't that long. You know what I mean? So it's like, but if you're number 399 or number 400, you're going to do this? You're really going to do this? Like, come on, man. Number 400 unprotected. Let's go, bro. You got to have some morals, man. Have some morals. Have some standards. You can't be number 400 banging a chick up with unprotected dudes all on the same day. Man, at least make it on a Friday. You know, so that's the first juiced up take. Bonnie Blue, adult content creator, has sex with 400 men unprotected. All right, the next one. We're going to call it, we call it the NBA, but it's a joke. We all know it is. The non-basketball association, because none of these fools play basketball no more. It's terrible. The NBA is terrible. So I came across a clip, and I guess the Utah Jazz are now sitting their starters in the fourth quarter of games so they can tank for a better pick. Like literally sitting guys, not calling timeouts, literally trying to lose the game. Not just sitting guys from the start to the end. They're benching guys at the fourth quarter. So some of these games, they can have leads in, and they're still benching dudes. That's how bad the NBA is right now. And I'm telling you, Adam Silver, you need to relegate. Take the bottom 3 teams of the league and put them in the G League. Put them in the G League. If you don't want to compete and you don't want to fight and have some type of competitive spirit, then go. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. Start finding owners. Start cutting salaries. Do what you got to do. But the NBA it's hard to watch. These guys aren't playing. Like you're literally getting paid to not play. Like that's like it's like I said before. It's an Italian no-show job. Like when the mob has these unions give them no-show jobs where they get paid and they don't show up. That's the NBA now. The NBA has turned into a no-show job. Really, it really has. It's pathetic. The only reason I will watch NBA and force myself to watch NBA right now is to have some type of sport content to talk about on this right now. That is the only reason I will watch NBA. Other than that, I have no ambition and no reason to watch the NBA. Seriously, it is a hard product to watch. It really is. And it's unfortunate because the guys that were like the OGs, everyone says are whiners and haters. No, they're not whiners and haters. They were riders. They played the game. They loved the game. They gave everything to the game. They never cheated it. All these dudes nowadays is just cheat the game and don't give it their all and don't give it 100. And the NBA, you're gonna be obsolete in about 10 years. You guys keep going on this way. Believe that. And that's my second juiced up take of the day. The NBA, sad, man. It's sad. So that's episode 19 of the program. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe. You can email me, thejuicedupshow@gmail.com. Let me know if you got any feedback. You guys have any topics you'd want me to look at or talk about. And let me know. Like I said, the email is thejuicedupshow@gmail.com. Hit like, hit subscribe. I'll be back next week with a new episode. Football is over, so it's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about. Peace. Good night. Everyone have a good one. Stay safe out there. Much love.